Imhotep African family, and welcome to the Building the Lighted Temple Wisdom Service. I am Dr. Nteri Nelson, a KeMetaphysician, a licensed clinician and educator, and co-founder of the Academy of Kemetic Education and Wellness. So welcome to today's service. A lot has been happening over the summer, technically, to bring us more online and live. And so we're still in that learning curve. So please do pardon any technical challenges we might experience today. But, you know, we don't learn unless we get out there and keep making the effort. And before we go into today's topic, I have up here the flyer for our upcoming online class. Yes, beloveds, where folks will be studying and getting a certification in level 1, Ka'aba, Building the Lighted Temple with the Metaphysical Keys to the Tree of Life. So this first orientation, it's an information session that is free to come to just listen to see about going forward in this 8-week e-course, which is October 12th. And folks will be studying just one of my texts, which is Ka'aba, Building the Lighted Temple with the Metaphysical Keys to the Tree of Life. And, you know, we've been at this in our brick and mortar space. We started humbly in our brick and mortar space on Mass Avenue with the League of Women in Community Service. And for any of you who are familiar with this space, it is where it is an underground railroad where the enslaved would come and pass through. This was located on Mass Avenue. Is located on Mass Avenue. And it's also where Coretta Scott King stayed when she was studying at the conservatory and it was segregated, and where Dr. Martin Luther King quartered her. So I say all that to say that we have had very humble beginnings in that space with the ancestors supporting our seedling institution. And this is what is so important today, beloveds, is for the continued growth of these seedling institutions, African centers for where we can learn our African history, spirituality, and undergo our own psychological and character development based on the wisdom of our ancestors. And, you know, it has been, for example, Professor Small, who's been very supportive of me and the work in the Academy. He edited was one of the editors in all of my books. And has been encouraging me for a couple of decades now to just get more out there, come from behind the veil and just get more out there. And so I do so now, and having to work through some of these technical challenges so that our work can go far and wide now. And you'll see in today's lesson and topic that it's time. You know, nothing's happening before it's time. When you see the depth of these metaphysical studies, that our African ancestors were in deep thought, and to unpack the how profound the thought is and was. We have to work at and take our time. And so one of the things that Professor Small has always encouraged me to do, he says, Dr. Nteri, I know he highly values my work as a metaphysician, as a chemetician. And he says, but you got to make it plain. You got to, and he is also quoting Malcolm X, who would say the same to him, make it plain, make it plain. And, but, you know, in some ways, the Academy of Kemetic Education, having had its inception in 1999, has been a forerunner in putting out these studies. And there wasn't all of this online stuff 20 years ago. And so now there is more circulation and more interest and more delving into and more engagement now that is possible. And so the moment is here to penetrate even more deeply. And even though Professor Small would ever encourage me to break it down and make it plain, I think that a lot of what's happened online has really given impetus to people really able to move through these studies, this what the ancients have given us. I won't say with great ease. I'll say with greater receptivity and certainly interest, and developing the skill. Now, one of the things I say as a metaphysician, a KeMetaphysician, as we begin to penetrate into these studies, is to suspend until you can append. I'll repeat that. Suspend until you can append. Meaning, and the tree of life is this amazing cosmogram for having us to have the structure in which to append and sort things out. You know, when I say the tree of life is this amazing cosmogram and structure, what I mean is that, you know, we go through life and we hear about this, we hear about that, we hear about the chakras, we hear about this, we hear about we hear about Tahuti, we hear about so many things. And it's like, where does all this go? Where does all this fit? And so and today as we penetrate into more into understanding astrology and astronomy, where does all that go? How does that fit? And so when I say suspend until you can append, this means as you hear something and you don't know where, oh gosh, that's over my head, because beloveds, as I teach, nothing is over our heads, nothing. If something comes and we don't quite know where it fits, we don't just say it's over our heads and can't be comprehended. What we do instead as KeMetaphysicians is just suspend it out there. And as you walk your walk and you are learning more and gathering more synthesis and coherence of things, and seeing how things fit together, you'll walk into the moment, you'll walk into that very moment where you'll say, oh, that's where that goes. That's where that goes. And those are truly our aha moments. You know, aha moment is when we're walking along and suddenly a whole crashing in consciousness can occur where we get something that was just hanging out in space and we just didn't get it. So nothing is over our heads. We suspend until we see where to append. All right, so we just trust the process. I'm going to, and I'm getting my toes wet, technically, all right, and which has had its challenges. But what I want to do is pull this up for us to see. Let me navigate here. I want to just say welcome all who have come on. I see, wow, wow, wow. Welcome everyone. I see you there coming in, and so glad you could join today. Now this, I'm adding this now, I'm pulling this up and showing you this. So we're going to be looking into this video that I'll put up in a moment. It's entitled The Astrological Ages of Pisces to Aquarius Hapi Shift. And then there's the question mark, Heru and Jesus, question mark. I mean, so we're going to penetrate into that. And the subtitle, The EverComing Heru Messu Sun S-U-N, Son, S-O-N, Krst-Christ or Christ. All right, so that's a lot, and we're just going to take a little, in the words of Professor Small's urging, we're going to break it down and make it plain. So we're going to do some of this video today, and we will do a next sort of more digesting, and then another digesting till we get through the whole video, which is about 30 minutes. We won't do the whole video today, but we will begin. And so this is so before I pull the video, so what I want to do first of all is have us look at why it may be hard to watch this video, and certainly hard to understand, and there may be many instructions that you have received, given the religiosity of this world, to not look at such videos or not be concerned with things astrological and astronomical, which essentially is your ability to tell time. And so, beloveds, I just want to start out by saying this brings us to the beginnings of this book, which will be a part of the studies if you take the 8-week course. Ka'aba, Building the Lighted Temple with the Metaphysical Keys to the Tree of Life. And for those who have the copy, wonderful. You can turn to page 12, because on page 12, what we come upon is what I have called here the major metaphysical key impediments. There are 4 major impediments that African people are overcoming as per our Maafa and impacts that we've had in this world period. The first metaphysical key is overcoming the position of not knowing thyself, because this is the adage that our African ancestors have given us, just know thyself. You gotta know yourself. And this impediment, overcoming it, is not knowing our history. So this is where we begin, not knowing your way home and not taking responsibility for knowing, seeking, finding, and foremost of all, beloveds, foremost of all, make a mental note, make a note, write this down on a Post-it, stick it somewhere so this doesn't be your condition. Foremost of all is, in addition to not knowing our history, is being all spooked up. We must overcome the impediment of being spooked up. Number 2 is the restoration of the first eye, overcoming blindness, our blindness, the things that have truncated our vision, our eye, eye of Heru torn out, and torn in pieces. We have to put together ourselves back together in consciousness, the ability to see, and that first eye. And I have multiple videos on YouTube in regard to this, but I hold this up as my symbol always, as the first eye, which we locate here. We must restore the ability to see the part, this individuated mirrored frame, this particulate. And we have to be able to see this individuated mirrored frame or particulate, and this individuated mirrored frame in particulate, meaning, and in relationship to each other. We need to see the relationship between this part and that part and this part. We need to see the relationship. And then, beloveds, in our consciousness, the development of a consciousness, we need to be able to see the part, the relationship within and between the parts. So we need to see that one at a time is the part. We need to see the relationship between the parts. And we need to see, beloveds, what? Simultaneous all-at-onceness. And that's when we're really able to roll within the first eye. So we're overcoming blindness because things have fallen apart. The underlying unity of the Tahitian mind, the glue that would hold things together, the broken body of Osir, things have fallen apart. Chenwa Achebe's work, things have fallen apart. So we're putting back together, putting ourselves back together, putting back the human family together. So that's another, the second impediment we're overcoming is blindness. The third impediment is knowing how to tell time. Overcoming the impediment of the loss of the ability to tell time and to know what time it is. And so that really brings us to our video clip today, the start of it. Although all of these, you'll see, all four will have to be operative for us to even get the bigger picture. And then the fourth metaphysical key is the overcoming the impediment of losing the law of reincarnation or rebirth. You know, what is that? What happened? What is that? The law of cause and effect, or karma. So overcoming impediment number 4 is the loss of the laws to overcome death, fear of death, and conscious accountability for our actions. And this is the loss of the ability to have a declaration of innocence. You know, when we're able to recite the 42 laws, which many are now more and more familiar with, excellent, then we are able to have a declaration of innocence. So we begin in this video because we've now looked at the things we have to work on, and we're all working on these very impediments. Okay, so I'm gonna now just bear with me as I do my little technical thing. Let's see. So many folks at Hotep family, great and grand rising, Hotep. Oh, so good to see everybody. So good to see you. Okay, and so here we go. All right. So now I've got to navigate here. Now, hopefully I'm getting this right. Okay, so let me just say this about this video as we begin, that this was from a conference that was presented. This lecture was presented at the National Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations, the ASCAC conference. So I'm going to put this on, and we're going to begin with the preview of this. I did a preview before we get into the heart of the matter. Here we go. Oh, this is coming out just right.
We are like as Heru, Shemsu, followers of Heru, the Sun S-O-N and daughter, like as Heru. We are striving to be like as the image and likeness of our Heavenly Father, the Creator. Heru is the Messu, the Krst-Christ, the eternal child in the age of Taurus, and later biblically appearing and biblically called Jesus the Christ in the age of Pisces. We must remember that the one in the same Heru Messu leads us throughout the ages eternally. However, beloveds, it is in this
All right, beloveds, I have a technical person who's going to help me out here. All right, go ahead. Tell me what's going on. Okay, so I'm working on the volume. Just a moment. Let's see. Volume. All right, I got the volume up. All right. Well, hopefully it's all the way up, so hopefully that will do. All right. Anything else? Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right, beloveds. I want you. Let's see. It's there. It's there. I'm trying to on for you. And I think I want to go back to beginning. I'm sorry. I apologize. Let's see. Okay, there it is. Okay, now we're going to go to the beginning. Good, excellent. Okay, and now I'm going to come back to you. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, excellent. Beautiful. Okay, pat on the back. Let's see, I think. Let's see. Start it. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right. Hopefully you
we are like as Heru, Shemsu, followers of Heru, the Sun S-O-N and daughter, like as Heru. We are striving to be like as the image and likeness of our Heavenly Father, the Creator. Heru is the Messu, the Krst-Christ, the eternal child in the age of Taurus, and later biblically appearing and biblically called Jesus the Christ in the age of Pisces. We must remember that the one in the same Heru Messu leads us throughout the ages eternally. However, beloveds, it is in this Piscean Christianized reappearance that and the one named Jesus the Christ that much confusion and trauma has been caused by the images depicted and the doctrine imposed. And as the documentary produced by Tariq Nasheed, The Religion of White Supremacy details, and that I, along with Professor Small and others, were featured, that the Piscean Age, the age of the fishes, and even the age before, the age of Aries, the lamb, the ram, begin the ages that have precipitated a white supremacist, fragilist paradigm that has gripped our planet with traumatic impacts to the world's inhabitants. The Messu Heru is the one and the same ever-coming one in each age, imbued with the energy of that age. Each age is the renewing of sustenance after suffering, drought, darkness, diminishment, degradation within us as the son, daughter, or what would come to be described as sin in this Piscean Age Christian dispensation.
Okay, beloveds.
Imhotep,
We never
African family.
Wait a minute, I gotta go back and turn that off. Let's see.
And in the spirit of our ancestors, may I have permission to speak?
I'm gonna pause. Okay, there we go. All right. Now here we are. Whew. Okay. All right, here we go. So when we talk about ages, it's like, what is Dr. Nteri even talking about? And if we hadn't, if there hadn't been, this hadn't been part of your awareness, then why might that have been so? So let's look at that next. And I start by having us look at in Ka'aba, building a lighted temple, what has happened along the way, such that our understanding what time it is has been expunged from our spiritual practice, just expunged. To take that out. All right, let's look at what has happened. Now, you'll find in chapter 16, and this goes back to working with overcoming one of the impediments, the reclamation of our history, know thyself, and the reclamation of our ability to tell time. So that's on page 200 for those of you who have the book. But this chapter begins simply because how is it that we can count denominations of money? A $10 bill, 20, 100, a million, $1,000, $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion, etc. How come we can count on a material level large, huge sums of money, and yet when it comes to knowing intervals of time, what do we even name them? What are those names called? So we know that 7 days equals 1 week, and 30 days is a month, and 365, 12 months is a year, and 365 days is a year, and 10 years is a decade, 100 years is a century. And good news, beloveds, for you who are here at this time, you got to be a part of what was called the millennium. And it's like, a millennium? What? And maybe some folks are walking around saying, I am a millennium, like, wow, this is big news. Where is and was this ability to see larger cycles of time? So now we're into a millennium, and now we know, oh, there's 1,000 years. How do we count that? And what is happening in that 1,000-year cycle? What is happening astrologically and astronomically, even in that 1,000-year cycle? But let's keep going, because when we talk about ages, our African ancestors teach us about the ages, and that these are cycles of time that we may begin to keep track of what's happening. So this is a 2,160-year cycle is an age. And so you'll see ultimately in this video going through how we move to understand what an age is, a 2,160-year cycle, and then we move, maybe not even today, but to move ultimately to see that there are 12 signs, 12 constellations. It's also technically 13 because there is Ophiuchus who is sandwiched in there. But to just make it plain, that's what Professor Smart is always urging me to do, not add so much that we lose picture. That there's 2,160 years in each age. So when you multiply that, we get these larger cycles of time called a great age, 25,920 years. 25,920 years cycles of time. So what makes that matter or important given our topic today, which is understanding what we are learning Kemetically in terms of Heru and what we have been given in this period, this Piscean Age, where we have been, this one has been named Jesus. All right, so we're just checking stuff out. We're just checking stuff out. So, but as we continue to check stuff out, I want to stay with why we don't know this, why maybe some of us don't know this, and have been even taught not to know this. So let's go back, let's go to the book again, and you can find this on page 52, and I'm going to just read to you what it says here. And this is from the book Rosicrucian Cosmic Conceptions on page 167. Because we got to get our sources, find our resources. And it says in this book, now check this out, beloveds, and just get into the writer's mind is to who gives you the authority to say what you're saying. And even observe things at the time as they were when we were still in periods of in enslavement, how there is this one doing the seeing, and it's been shaved out of our ability to see. So it says the following: but it was necessary that he, and think about the he, that would be you and me, but it was necessary that he should become thoroughly awake to the great importance of this concrete existence, meaning this age that we're in now, this period. Think about that, because the materialization of this age, so that he might learn from it all that could be learned. Okay. Who's saying this? No, what audacity to say. So long as he, think about the he, that's you and me, so long as he felt that he was a citizen of the higher worlds and knew for certainty that physical life is but a small part of real existence, he did not take it seriously enough. About our African ancestors, and how they knew of Urjet Nehehi, the Evercoming One, the eternal ones, knowing that we are eternal, knowing billions of years that we are eternal, and very much moving into that afterlife. So so long as he felt that he was a citizen of the higher worlds, we weren't in such a high world in the hull of the ship of enslavement, and crushing our memory of that. So long as he felt that he was a citizen of the higher worlds and knew for a certainty, and listen to the wordings, and he knew for a certainty that physical life is but, we knew for a certainty, wait a minute, this isn't the whole gig here, that, you know, this material body, you know, this, the dimensions of our being, physical and spiritual, human and divine. And knew for a certainty that physical life is but a small part of real existence, he did not take it seriously enough. Now, who is saying this and with what audacity? He did not apply himself to the cultivation of the opportunities for growth, which are found only in the present phase of existence. You know, that materialization of moving from a spiritualization of consciousness into this materialization of consciousness on our planet in this dimensional shift, right? And moreover, beloveds, it says he dallied his time away, without developing the resources of the worlds, as do the people of India today for the same reason. Meaning, you know, we didn't have big smokestacks, pollute the ocean, put plastic and detergent in our waters, cut down all the trees. This was called dallying our time to enjoy nature unpolluted, without the human impact that it has had since African people made their outgoing footsteps 60,000 years ago to populated the world. And there has been this unfoldment of these seeming racial types that have unfolded out of the African family. And we can recognize those seeming racial types in any urban train station, because we're all meeting up from all over the world, no matter how we, in our own environment, unfolded those varying physical appearances as the seeming racial types have taken on. And then it goes on to say, the only way in which an appreciation of concrete physical existence could be aroused in man was by depriving him of the memory of his higher spiritual existence for a few lives. Now, part of understanding the ages is really understanding too what these few lives, I mean, when you say lives, you don't mean someone who lives to 70, someone who lives to, you know, we're talking about understanding what that means by a few lives. Thus, during his earth life, he came to hold no positive knowledge of any other than one present physical life. It seems like this is, well, you got to go for all the gusto you can, because this is the one physical existence is what the message is, right? That would have you, it would inform acts of not being accountable, because this is your one and only go around and get all you can, even if it means trespassing on another. He came to hold no positive knowledge of any other than the one present physical life, and was in this way impelled to earnestly apply himself to living it. There had been religions previous to Christianity. Listen, beloveds, there had been religions previous to Christianity which had taught rebirth and the law of consequence. But the time had now come when it was no longer conducive who's saying all of that, right? Think about that. When it was no longer conducive to man's advancement, that he should know this doctrine. What doctrine? The doctrine of rebirth and the law of consequence, that we want to live in accord with the laws of Ma'at so we can be found Ma'at Heru. When it was no longer conducive to man's advancement, I mean, when you're in that material thing, being all bogged down with not stealing, not lying, not cheating, that can feel like an impediment, right? So, but the time had now come when it was no longer conducive to man's advancement that he should know this doctrine, okay? Our primal wisdom. And ignorance concerning it came to be regarded as a sign of progress. So and this contributes to being spooked up. Not only were we to be spooked up about it, but we were to be complicit with the expunging of it from our spiritual practices, and to be haughty and all puffed up that was a sign of progress. Oh, you all are over there practicing that, what would they say, voodoo or some. Now, I'll just take a moment here to note the contradiction in all of this, which is vast. The very arts and sciences that we were taught to put away are what Europeans flock to: yoga, understanding crystals, understanding, and so on, astrology, astronomy, reflexology, so many of our arts and sciences, so many of our practices. Anyway, but the time had now come when it was no longer conducive to man's advancement that he should know this doctrine, and ignorance concerning it came to be regarded as a sign of progress. Now, let's go on to this last paragraph. This one single life, get it, beloveds? This one single life, was to be made paramount. Your 60 whatever years where a lot of us don't even collect Social Security because of so many of the disadvantages. But this one single life was to be made paramount. Therefore, we find that the Christian religion, so this is part of what's happened along the way here. Therefore, we find that the Christian religion, as publicly taught, does not embody the laws of consequence and rebirth. Nevertheless, as Christianity is the religion of the most advanced race, now who might that be? Who might that be? Think about that, beloveds. Nevertheless, as Christianity is the religion of the most advanced race, it must be the most advanced religion. A equals B. This is the funny math that has been imposed on us. And because of the elimination of this doctrine from its public teachings, because you go sit, not going to learn about what we're talking about here, the conquest of the world of matter, not, matter, is being made by the Anglo-Saxon and Teutonic races, in which this phase has been carried furthest. So we have to understand how to tell time to even know what has happened. So we know how to hit the rewind and review. We understand what has happened. But one other thing before we go forward is that I ask here in the book, why did this elimination, who did this elimination, and of what right? What degree of destruction, murder, secrecy would achieve the law of rebirth being expunged from our spiritual practice and memory. And so I go here and say, we are overcoming the impediment of the loss of the law of rebirth, reincarnation, in our spiritual practices. We are also overcoming the impediment of not knowing what time it is. So listen carefully. The above quote bears witness that someone is keeping track of time, even though Christian believers have been warned not to be observers of time. Read Deuteronomy. Clearly, keeping track of time has been used by one race of people to gain advantage over another. So you want to read Deuteronomy, where we are told not to be tellers of time. All right, let me just not to be observers of time. All right, so look it up for yourself. Get a Bible and look it up yourself. And understand how you have not been able to have access to these studies and feel okay to know a cycle bigger than a millennium and what could possibly be happening in those cycles. So I want to, in our time left, let me just go back to the video in preparation for when we do the next part of this diving deeper, going to a deeper depth and explanation. So let me see if I can navigate this comments. Let's see. And now there any, okay. Oh, someone's asking on Facebook, how often do you come on live and teach? Well, I've been teaching every Sunday in the Building the Lighted Temple Wisdom service, but coming live like this is a learning curve. And this is my third attempt at today. All right, and Rosalind says, what nerve that they think that. Yes, a lot of assumptions that were made, and we have to understand where that's coming from. And someone says, a solution says, amazing, always a blessing to sit at the feet of a master and learn. Du'a'u to you, beloved. Du'a'u. And let me just say on that note, beloved, what we say in the academy is that no one of us knows what we all may know together as one. So we all have to contribute what we know. And Rosalind says, what nerve that they think that exploiting nature is growth and progressive development. That's the material consciousness. And Golden Sun says, hi, thank you for this. Do you offer membership or initiation? Yes, beloveds. And if you look at the link I put in there in that same section, you should see how to become a member, how to support our work, and how to sign up to come to the orientation for the next level 1 certification for initiates in these studies. Speak more on cycles, peace and blessings. Yes. Can you speak more on the cycles, peace and blessings? Yes. And so this will be our services going forward to as small. You'll be delighted that 2 decades later, but that's not the full representation. so much has happened with the studies. So many others have been contributing to this work of retrieving and reclaiming our primal wisdom, our African ancient wisdom, and writing the books, authoring the books. I've authored several books, which you will be made aware of. And so it's been a concerted effort to get to the place where more now can be digestible, more now can go forward, because people are more ready. And even now there's that whole wave of resistance that's going to come at this, because we're overcoming some impediments, things that have happened in this Piscean age. And that's part of our trauma. We are working to understand and heal and move through the woundedness that has happened to us in this Piscean age, in this Maafa. And this trauma didn't even just confine itself to this Piscean age. We have to go back even an age before, to the age of Aries. We have to go back even further, when we began the invasion by the Greeks, the invasion by the Hyksos, even before that, but the invasion and plunder of our wisdom, the closing of our mystery schools. There's trauma. There's trauma in the Piscean age. There's trauma in the age of Aries, the age of Aries. So we're just sitting back, and we're just, because we have to go forward into this Aquarius Hapi age. And in order to do so, we have to garner the strength that from this Piscean age. And beloveds, I'll say more about this as we go forward in the weeks ahead. But you'll see that it has been us moving back to the age of Taurus to reclaim ourselves, to get our bearing. And we're going to look at what was happening in the age of Taurus. This is where we can locate more our primal wisdom. People have gone back to they're not just going back to Kemet, they're going back to the age of Aries, of Taurus, the bull. Okay, they're going back there to garner and to reclaim an identity that has been consistently eroded in this Piscean age. We're reclaiming ourselves as people who've given the world all the arts and sciences, humanity, charting of the stars, agriculture, mathematics, chemistry, biology, you name it, and we have given all of this to the world. We are an ancient people. So we had to go back and recollect ourselves. Because we've been hit in the head so hard in this age. To step back and regain consciousness, reawaken, and then not just have an eye to see, okay, what has happened here. Lots of folks are even, anesthetizing themselves because this is so impactful. We have folks who are, imbibing and anesthetizing themselves to dull the conscious awareness of the impacts of. So it's not just what the work in this age, but we want to go back and remember and recollect all the greatness. And let me just go here. My apologies. Yes, okay. Ages, not cycles. Okay. It's some solution says it's as if the ancient way was the one of guardianship of Earth. It puts Genesis 6 in a new perspective. Beautiful, beloved, beautiful. And this is just where we all want to be. The ability to shapeshift and step back with great fluidity of consciousness and awareness, and be able to, because it's the age of Aquarius now, in this technical age, which some aspects of it, but what it does is it makes so much information available that now we're able to really move and alchemical mix and see the current, the stream of sacred teaching that runs through all of it. No matter what book we refer to, whether we refer to the portrayed, which is our primal text, or the Bible, or the Torah, or the Bhagavad Gita, or the Quran, we're able to back and really see. And so you're right there, solutions in, okay, this and this, you gotta, but without all the reactivity. Calming the emotional waters of all set, just keeping everything calm. And Malika says Hotep family, and Ronald says Ma'at Hotep queen. Hotep everyone, great to see everyone. All right, so I'm going to, let's see, what am I going to do now? I'm going to just play just a little more of this video, and then we're going to pause and we're going to look for the next series like this to go into the depth of that section. Okay, so here we are. Let's see. This one. All right, and yes, I wanted to get us a little further. Okay, so here we are. And this will be something to ponder on between now and our next time.
Thank you, Dua'u, in granting so. I am Dr. Nteri Nelson, a KeMetaphysician, licensed clinician and educator, and co-founder of the Academy of Kemetic Education and Wellness. And I must share with each and every one of you that I am in the wider world community, African world community, that I am so delighted to and honored to have the invitation to be a part of this amazing, amazing conference, the 2023 ASCAC, the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations Conference. The title of my presentation is Astrological Age, Aquarius Hapi, the Evercoming Heru Messu Sun-Son, S-U-N, Receiving Sustenance. Once again, beloveds, my title is The Astrological Age of Aquarius Hapi, the Evercoming Heru Messu Sun-Son, Receiving Sustenance. As we begin, our African oral and written traditions, as recorded in the pyramid text, the Pertim-Ru, and the Medjugorje language, give instruction in order to restore our memory as timekeepers, teaching us to be expectant in each astrological age, a 2,160-year cycle of time. In a world where Europeans once saw the earth as flat and separated astronomy and astrology, I make reference here to a work by Giorgio Santolina and Hertha von Dershent in their book, Hamlet's Mill, an essay on myth and the frame of time, published in 1969. Because here is a clearer truth-telling moment of proper attribution to the greatness and brilliance of African people. They note the Kemites recognize the importance of the heliacally rising constellations as markers for the astrological ages, and knowledge of this phenomenon had been known by them thousands of years previously. They state that to understand ancient thinking, it is necessary to understand astrology. Beloveds, once again, to understand ancient thinking, it is necessary to understand astrology, not the modern sun sign of horoscopic astrology, but the astrology of ancient times. And what I'm going to do, beloveds, is I'm going to just hold up some images to move more fluidly through this presentation. And later I'll share my screen and show these images and more. Beloveds, we are now living between two astrological ages and are dimensionally shifting from the Piscean Age to the age of Aquarius Hapi. And I hold up this image here to show the fishes of Pisces, the symbolism, and the water bearer of symbolism of the age of Aquarius. And this presentation addresses the question, how do we receive sustenance from the sun, the S-U-N, and the sun, the S-O-N? How can we be poised and expectant? And what is promised? Three key instructions are given by our African ancestors of the Nile Valley Civilization to address these questions. Two of these instructions are on discerning the sun, the S-U-N, and the S-O-N, the sun. The third instruction answers what is promised. Let us begin with first discerning the S-U-N. And I hold up, beloveds, a diagram perhaps very familiar to you.
Okay, beloveds, let's come back here. I'm getting my way. All right, I think this would be a good place to put a bookmark, to be continued. And I thoroughly enjoy your questions and comments. And so keep coming. You know, I will close by saying that always what I teach in the academy is how to listen to our spirit, how to listen to that Holy Spirit that speaks to us and through us. And I had originally planned to do the autumnal equinox observance and celebration for next, which is September 20, the equinox is September 23rd. But we meet on Sunday, so we'll do it on the 24th. And my spirit said, we just got to start that really breaking things down process, because even to understand what's happening at the equinox needs more in-depth penetration to even understand energetically what's happening for the planet. The whole planet undergoes the equinox. So how does that affect us? How does that affect us? So I'm taking new steps, and sometimes kicking and dragging with this technical stuff. I like StreamYard. It seems kind of friendly, but this is where the Academy needs to make progress and leaps and bounds to get all of this work out, and to take lots of the videos that are already on YouTube, and there's lots in the archive that haven't been put out, to give them in more digestible snippets, so we can make great progress here. And all right, so on that note, beloveds, we're going to close and end our stream for today, but we do hope and pray and that you will continue to tune in each Sunday as we go live. More confidently, we go live, and invite others to do the same. And please do look at the links that I've attached, that you may see how to be a part of the Building the Lighted Temple membership, and support our work more. And look at your calendar for this upcoming orientation. It will require you to follow that link. I'll just put that back up there. Follow that link, and it will take you to a platform where you essentially say, yes, I want this, and it will cue the Academy to then send you the Zoom link to join this information session that's coming up. And we are blessed to have some of our Academy teachers who will be facilitating this upcoming service, this upcoming class, a course that will be happening. Hotep, Andrea, beloved, I so miss you, so miss everyone. So soothing family. Oh, good to see you. Rosalind. Rosalind said, when you said suspend until you can append, that make sense and is helpful. Yes, nothing is over our heads. Nothing. I don't care what anybody, if it can be conceived, then we can achieve it. We can grasp it. We just need to be patient with ourselves, and just walk into those, you're sitting there and it's like, oh my God, it's like you could be sleeping, and all of a sudden you sit up straight in bed and say, wow, that's what that is. You gotta treasure your aha moments. You gotta earn them. You gotta earn your ahas. So don't worry about suspending stuff. You're gonna walk into a bigger orb of an eye of seeing and sightedness that will enable it to be crystal clear. And all right then, so we're signing off for now. I trust this video will be up on YouTube okay, and look to see you. And if you see technical things, please put that in your comment too. It will help us to get to master this more technically. We're saying closing on Jah, Salem, life, prosperity, and health. Until we meet again.